So today we have Ada Nelson as our guest speaker. Her talk is tips and tricks for virtual research. Ada was born and raised in Panama. She holds engineering degrees from Utah State University and is an experienced information architect and knowledge manager. After retiring from her wireless communications career, she became a full-time genealogist specializing in Latin American research. She is married and has a daughter and 3 adorable grandchildren. For the past several years, she has volunteered at the Family History Library in Salt Lake City, Utah, and has delivered presentations on the genealogical resources of different Hispanic countries, such as Panama, Colombia, and the Hispanic Caribbean. Ada is a co-administrator of the Panama DNA Group, a contributor to the Family Search Wiki, as well as a professional translator. Nice, okay. Ada's multi-ethnic heritage has guided her research into the Iberian, Basque, Chinese, French, Italian, Sephardic, Indigenous, and African experiences in Latin America. She enjoys helping fellow Hispanics search for their roots to discover their ancestry. Without further ado, I want to turn it over to Ada. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. I am going to share my screen. 1 second. Okay. See, are you able to see my screen now? Yes? Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite hacks for accessing genealogy information, especially things that are difficult to find. And the next slide, I was actually going to show it at the end, but I decided that this would be a better time to show you the next slide, because I discovered that we are actually cousins. I was born and raised in Panama, so for me, Mexico was a foreign country that I had no relationship with until I did my DNA test with an indigenous group. And I found through my indigenous roots that I actually have practically most of these connections here. And Nahua being the most significant one. So we truly are cousins. And so I am glad that I am actually sharing this with family. Okay, and I hope that these tips are going to be useful to you. So I'm going to take you on a small tour of the GSHA collections. You probably are familiar with them because you're already, members of this group, have been members for a long time. But maybe you haven't been as familiar with what your organization actually has available, or you thought that it would be difficult to travel there and research these things in person. So today I'm going to show you how to do virtual searches from the comfort of your own home. You don't need to purchase any special software or subscription, and you can actually use these tips that I'm going to share with you with any type of research you do, not just genealogy even. In this presentation, we're going to talk also about a free lookup service that is now available through the Family History Library. It's very new. It started about 3 or 4 months ago. I am one of the volunteers that does these lookup services, and I'll show you how these can be of help to you. I'm going to show you how you can pair that up with the catalog and the wiki to find the information you want, and then jump to WorldCat and see if maybe you can check out some of these books that you thought are not going to be in your local library, or maybe are not easy to check out from any library. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about the Internet Archive, which has a free library. So GSHA, the Genealogical Society of Hispanic America, has 3 chapters, as you're probably well aware of. All of this is probably not new to you, but one is resident in Colorado. one in Southern California, and one is Utah. But each of these is a separate group, also in the sense of the collections that they have. And the the big the large society, GSHA, the umbrella society, has a subject guided journal index. You may have known this or not, I don't know, but it's in their website. And I'm going to spend some time on that today. They also have newsletters, they hold monthly meetings, they have an annual conference. I think this one just ended recently. So here is the subject guided journal index. It's a PDF, and when you click on it, you're able to open this kind of a lengthy document that has a lot of, has basically listed all the articles that have been published in the quarterly magazine or quarterly journal called Nuestras Raíces, or Our Roots. The index is divided into 16 categories, and it provides the title and where the article appeared, in which quarterly journal the article was published. So you probably thought, well, so why would that be useful to me to know? Maybe some of you may have the complete collection of Our Roots, and many of you probably have never seen a copy. I don't know. I guess when you join, I think you can get your own copies. So some of you may have newer copies, but this actually gives you access to anything they have ever published, except for the last year. I think it stops at 2020. So they haven't added 2021 yet. And here there is a addendum. So starting in 2019, they started putting things into a spreadsheet that's also available here. And so anything after 2019 is now in this spreadsheet. But so this is the entire set of publications. So we talked about the 16 categories, but if you look at the table of contents, you'll see that the majority of the articles that appear in the journal are about family names, meaning specific surnames, communities, individuals, genealogy research tips, and short stories. Those short stories are not fiction. They're actually about specific events in the life of people and of great genealogical interest to you as well. The journals are indexed, and I mentioned before, 89 to 2016 are in that PDF, and then from it's 2017 to 2020. They're in the Excel spreadsheet. And you can download it from that website. The Fray Angelico Chavez chapter also includes their own set of resources. And so you can see here at the bottom, I don't have all of them, but there are different items, baptisms, marriages, anyway. So today in the demo, I'm gonna show you what some of those things are and how this could be useful to you in your research. Then the Southern California branch has a whole library. And just like a library website, in this catalog, you can search for any kinds of information that you want. And I can show you again that you don't have to go here in person to get access to some of the items or many of the items that they have in this library. So I talked a little bit about doing virtual searches. So one tip that I pass on to you is there's nothing that compares to doing a Google search first. If you have a name of an ancestor, if you have a name of an event, if you have a name of a book, an article, anything, doing a Google search first, you might be surprised what comes back to you from that initial Google search. BYU also has resources that are available. So I talked about the family search having this lookup service. BYU has something else that is very interesting because for people like us who live nearby, BYU can function as a library for getting some of these books, and I'll discuss it a little bit later on the BYU resources, but BYU has an extensive collection of Latin American books, and they are not reference material, meaning that they circulate freely. You do not have to, if they're not referenced, so you can go, but now you're saying, well, I'm not a student, I'm not a staff member. How do I do this? Through something called interlibrary loan. Because we are very close to where they are, we can request from the Salt Lake County Library, say, that we want to get some of these books sent to us from BYU, and we will get them. And we usually, and I have done this many, many times, and usually I can keep the book on loan for a month, sometimes 6 weeks. It just depends on the institution. And then, in that time, you can be researching, you can do anything, you take copies, whatever it is that you need. Also, BYU offers another thing that's even more fantastic. Because they're a big institution, they have the power to do better interlibrary loans than the Salt Lake County Library. So if there is a book that you want and the Salt Lake County Library said, well, we really can't get it for you, you can actually go online. You don't have to go to BYU. You can go online. And for people, and this is only for people who are researching their genealogy, you don't have to be a student. You don't have to be a staff member. You can create an account and you can request interlibrary loan through BYU. So there was this book that was so difficult for me to find. There was only one copy in Panama. I looked in a catalog and I found that BYU didn't have a copy, but I found that UCLA had a copy. And I knew my library, Salt Lake County Library, wasn't going to be able to borrow that book. So I went to BYU and I said, can you do a library loan for me? The book was so difficult and so rare that they actually put the book in a special area. And they said the book was sent to BYU, put under this glass case kind of thing. And I could go in there and I could go into this room and you could only take your computer and pencil. And I was able to actually see the book. This incredible experience I had. That's true. I had to travel to BYU to do it. But I'm telling you that that's the reach that BYU has. If it hadn't been that kind of book, I could have actually gone, and I've done that also, gone to BYU, got the book, brought it home through interlibrary loan, brought it home, and then return it back when I was done. So this is mainly for people who have BYU nearby that they can use this. There's also some academic sharing websites. They're not necessarily academic all the way, but the most important one maybe is academia. That I think is academia. I don't know if it's edu but it's academia. And many academics will post their articles there. And I have found a lot of information for Latin America in here. It is though a paid subscription. However, if there's something there that you really want, you might consider getting a limited subscription just to try it out. The Hattie Trust and JSTOR are academic research arms, and you can go there and you don't have to have a subscription. There is a backdoor to these. The scope of this presentation, I'm not going to share all that, how to do this, but once you get there, you're limited to maybe 3 articles a month. But they're amazing what I have been able to find on all kinds of resources for myself for for family history. And then Script D is another popular place where people share documents, books even, and there are many that are genealogy related. It just depends. So if you do that Google search at the beginning and you find that it's in Script D, then you know that there is a way to get it to into your home. So in the live demo, I will be doing some searches of GSHA online resources. I'm going to show you how to request a remote lookup, how to search WorldCat, how to do an interlibrary loan request, and how to search the Internet Archive. So here's an example of one. This is a book that was mentioned in one of the GSHA collections, Retoños de España en la Nueva Galicia. So this is about the descendants, the people from Spain that populated Nueva Galicia, which is in Mexico. And this book was available, but only, see, it's available if you go to the library and you can check it out, right? However, I was able to find a digital version of this book. And so I'll show you in a minute. This came from the Family Search Catalog. I put in the title of the book, and then immediately I got this information. One thing that is very interesting here is it gives you the content, even though it doesn't allow you to open the book. This is like the table of contents, and it shows you that these are biographies of people and by surname. Which volume has which surnames. So this is also going to be very important to know. And they've already given this to you here in the catalog. So your options then is to go to the WorldCat, go to Internet Archive, anyway, remote lookup service. So there's different options on how to find this book. So when you do a lookup in Family Search, you can put anything in the form you want. I'm going to show you that in the demo section. But this is better if you put only one request per entry. There are volunteers that are doing the searches and copying or scanning the pages for you, but they don't want these volunteers spending more than 20-30 minutes per request. So if you got a lot of stuff, break it up and do it one at a time. And I'll show you one that I did in preparation for this meeting. So I learned a lot from my own mistakes. And you have to be very clear on what you want so you're not misinterpreted. And so that's one reason to do it one at a time. You want to ask for a copy of the table of contents and or the index. And I'll show you why. Because in the same journal or book, there might be more than what you think. And so having the extra table of contents or index will allow you to find, oh, it also mentions the uncle, or it also mentions this other thing that I didn't know I had. That the GSHA subject index does not provide page numbers. So when you do the lookup service, you're not going to be able to give him a page number. The only thing you can give him is the title. So you want to make sure you spell out the title in full, not just describe what you want. And the index is not comprehensive. I'll show you when I open it. It's really the only thing that is mentioned is the title. And then if there's a person, then it will mention the name of the person, but it's the main character. So if there are additional people mentioned in that article, they're not going to show up in the index. So that's something to remember. So I told you about this Retoños de España en la Nueva Galicia, and it was in 7 volumes. We saw that in the catalog. So once then I clicked on WorldCat link, and I located in a university library. I went to the catalog in the library that had that book and checked to see 2 things. Can you check it out? It's very important. If it's a reference material, you won't be able to check it out. And is it available? Meaning, is it on the shelf or can you check it out? And then you do the request from a public library local to you to get it through interlibrary loan. So I knew how to do this, but now what if you just wanted to search inside the book? Now you can't read it. So again, I went to the WorldCat and I saw that there was actually an ebook version. Everything else is printed, but this one was ebook. And it was the Hathi Trust that had digitized the book. But of course, they have strict controls for copyright. So they couldn't put that book up there available for search for anyone to download. But it did allow you to do a limited search. And when you did a limited search, you could put the name of a person. And then you would know if that person was mentioned in that book. Because remember, this was a biographies of different people, right? And we know which volumes, etc. So once you get, so if you put the surname that you're looking for and it appears, now you know which volume it's in and you know it's in this book. And then you can go and get an interlibrary loan and get the book yourself, right? Um, so when you find the book, then you note the page numbers. And then, so the other thing you can do now with this information is you can request a remote lookup from Family Search because they have the book too, since it's in their catalog. So there's multiple ways here now to get the information. So these are things that you can do with a lot of different books and articles. I mentioned the Internet Archive. The Internet Archive is kind of like this big library of books that have been scanned over time by hundreds, thousands of volunteers have donated their time to make this possible. They have an ambitious goal to safeguard the knowledge of the world, the books, everything that is worthwhile. And so originally, they were kind of limited to copyright laws, right? So only older versions. But more recently, they started doing something called a free library. And in this free library, it's a digital library of free, they're borrowable books because they're still in copyright. But you can check them out if they have a copy. You can check out the digital version for up to 14 days. And then you can have access to it for 14 days straight and do all the research you want, you know, and you don't have to go to a library to do it. And some of these books are rare. Some of these books are not easy to find in libraries, may not be able to do interlibrary loan on them. So I was curious what would happen if I did a search for Hispanic genealogy in the Internet Archive. And I found, this is the results that came back, a lot. It's a lot of results. And not only that, but I found that some of them were voice recordings. This is a podcast. It's a podcast that's called Genealogy, Hispanic Genealogy Talk. I had no idea this was something available. And it's a podcast that you can subscribe to and you can listen to, but they have an archive of all of the talks here. And it's just voice, it's not video, but you know, it's the topics that we're interested in. And then they have all this other stuff that came here. So you can actually put a specific name, you know. Like one thing that is of interest is the books by Lyman Platt. I don't know if how many of you are familiar with him, but he wrote very important books for Hispanic researchers. And those books are still in copyright. But if you find it here, you can actually open the book and look inside of it to look for the stuff that you need. So it's like having it in your bookshelf. Okay, so I am now going to go into the demo portion of this. Okay. So we talked a lot of, okay, first of all, let me show you. Okay, so here is the GSHA Subject Guided Journal Index. And this first page shows the 16 categories we talked about. And when I said there were 5 that had more content than others, so you can see here communities, how many pages of records they have. So this kind of gives you an idea. And then, so they starting with the family names, you can see that they're indexed by last name, but it's really the title of the article that's here. And so when you do the lookup in family search, you want to, because family search has all the journals, by the way, okay? They have the entire collection. So when you do the lookup service, you can just make sure that you put the entire title. And that's something I didn't do initially. So initially what I did is I picked a name totally out of a hat. I, I just wasn't looking for anybody, and this name struck me, La Rañaga. And there are 3 articles apparently. But if you see here, there are 2 articles that seem to be in the same journal, and then one that was many years later in a different journal. And the first 2 were authored by the same person. The third one is a different author. So I thought, let me just try this out and submit. So I went to this link. This is the lookup service. How you find it is there are different ways of finding it, but you can actually Google family search lookup service, and it will take you straight to it. I mean, it will give you the link to this page straight there. You can also log into the library, log into family search, and then and then look in the help menu. But you can just Google and it will take you straight here. So let me show you how this goes. Record lookup request form. You click here. So there's a form you have to fill out. So I'm going to guide you through this because it was confusing the first time I did it and I just wasn't sure. So it's loading. Okay. So you put your name. So I'm just going to put my name so I can take you to the next page. I'm not going to submit this now, but I'll show you what I did last time so you see how the whole trip is done. Okay. So entered all the important, and one the phone number. Okay. Next. So now the next page is if you want a film. And most of the time you're not going to want a film. So we're going to skip through this because what we're looking for is not a film anyway in this particular demo. So we don't do anything here. We leave it completely blank. And then you click next. That takes you to the book request, which is also the articles request. So here is where you will enter the title, the author, the call number, and you will tell them what you want. So you can apparently, but you can tell them you want the table of contents. And etc. I mean, you can decide what you want to say here and then additional information. And so once you have this, then the next thing is they will check, you will have a chance to, let's see if it will allow me. Oh yeah, it allowed me to get to the next page. So after you have, then you say, I agree with the terms because you have to agree that you're not going to misuse this information, right? Okay, so, and then you submit. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to show you what I entered and what came back. So after I had submitted, this is what came back to me. It was basically a copy of what I had submitted. So my name, email, phone number, Nuestras Raíces, our roots, the author, GSHA, the call number, the actual place where this was found. In my case, I was looking for Winter 2014, Volume 6, Number 4. Information, it was the Cristobal Maria Larrañaga family records. And then they agreed. And then I waited. So this was, I don't think it, they said 1 to 2 weeks, but actually I did this 3 days ago and I already got the records back. And so this is what came back. Couple of days ago, I got this and it says, please see. So they sent me exactly what I had asked. And I'm going to show you what those are. Here they are. It was the Larrañaga family records. In this case, they sent it to me, not as a PDF, but as a JPEG, but that's okay. Because when I expand it, it's readable. And then I learned that there were 2 more articles in another version. Now that had been here, but I had not known the exact title of the articles because this one said descendants and this said Larrañaga, but actually the full title was 8 generations of the Larrañaga family. And so I didn't know that, and I ordered just using Larrañaga, and they didn't know what I wanted, and they only sent me one of the articles, not both. So this is the reason that sometimes the indexer may not have caught the whole thing, and they didn't give me the whole thing. But here's what came back for the other submission. This is the 8 generations. This came back as a PDF. The same people did the scanning, but in this case, they did the scanning with a PDF. For the other case, they did it with a JPEG. If for some reason you can't read these, they're not clear enough. So I'm gonna, this is a New Mexico family, and I know at least one of you has New Mexico roots, so you're probably familiar with this name. And by the way, I told you that I chose these names completely at random. I had no idea that Larrañaga, the Don Cristobal Maria Larrañaga, was a physician who is credited with being instrumental in saving a whole generation of Mexican people because of a vaccine that he distributed in Mexico. I had no idea. So it was just coincidence that I chose this name. But here, it talks about the 8 generations of this family and all the information. They sent it to me in 3 different PDFs. So that's the first 2 pages, the next 2 pages, and the final pages. Okay. And so if you feel like you need to have a better view or something is blurry, you can always send another request and say, oh, the first time was blurry, can you, whatever, and they will do it. And it takes 2, 3 days. Well, it could take up to 1 week. It just depends on how busy they are when you ask for these. Then, let's see. So the other thing I was going to show you is, oops. Okay. So we've done that. And I've shown you this. Okay, so I told you we were going to do something with the New Mexico records. This is from the Fray Angelico Library, FACC. They have put here links to different things. And so I was just clicking at random and I decided to look at baptisms because those contain a lot of important genealogy information. I wanted to see what they had and in what shape they had the information.
Ada, I have a question.
Yes.
Where is that link located?
Oh, the Fray Angelico.
Yeah.
You can do a search for the Society of SGS.
GSHA?
GSHA. Yeah, you can do a search and put in chapters, or just put in
Okay, I'm clicking on the chapters.
right.
Okay,
So when you get to the main page,
uh-huh.
so let's do it together.
Okay, cool.
So how
Thank
you get
you.
here, yeah, how you get here is, whoops. Come on, mouse. Okay, here we go. There's a delayed thing because it's being shared. Okay, so this is the FACC genealogy. So let's go to the home. So this is where you would start.
Oh, so that's a separate website than the GSHA
Correct,
National?
correct. So FSHA, FACC has its own website, completely separate, and the resources are different too. They're not the same thing as you saw in the, well, the resources that you saw in the main umbrella organization is they're all entries to the quarterly journal. Las raíces are our roots, right? Whereas these are separate and they have nothing to do with raíces. Las raíces is about their own documentation that they have discovered and put up here. So they're totally separate. So they have also been doing their meetings online, and they have been functioning since 1942. So that's a fairly long-standing group. But you see here, it says FACC library,
Okay.
and this is where I was. So now it opens to the library. And then when you go down here, then these are the resources that they have. Some of them may not be possible to get, like
Okay.
an audio cassettes, probably you'd have to go there, but I was interested in the baptisms because that's a very important source of information. And I know they're, unlike baptisms in foreign countries where you can get them all in family search, these may not be so easy to get. So I noticed that, Albuquerque, they have baptisms for all these places in New Mexico. And so then I went to family search, right? So that's the next thing you go is family search. Yes, I went to family search and I went to the catalog. And I think I can, well, before I looked for this, what I did, so let me just backtrack a little so you can get the flavor. Family search. First, I'm going to search for it as a book, right? So I'm going to go to the catalog and I'm going to type in New Mexico. So I'm going to do a keyword and I'm going to say New Mexico baptisms. Okay, and so I get to this. This is the one I was showing you here.
Okay.
New Mexico baptisms, Albuquerque. But there were many others. And so this happens to be, I think it's a book. Yeah, it's a book. It's 295 pages. Okay. And it says now you can look for it in WorldCat. They don't have it digitized, right? But you know it's there. So now you click on WorldCat and see if maybe you can get an interlibrary loan. So that's the next thing I did. So there's the book. And this kind of shows you how this works. And here are all the different libraries that have it, not a whole lot, but Denver Public Library has it. So I went there and that takes you straight to the Denver Library catalog. Now it doesn't, so now you have to put New Mexico baptisms. And see, they have a bunch. So this is very promising. But this is also a very good illustration of what I'm talking about. So there's one, so I'm just going to click on that, Santa Fe, because it seems like they have a lot of the different. And we go down here, is part of a genealogy collection, and it's non-circulating. Oops. So you will not be able to get an interlibrary loan for this book. So you think, well, darn, that means I either have to go to the family history library, or I have to go, you know, I'm not going to be able to get this at home. However, we're not done with the family search catalog, because I went to the wiki and I searched for it. And this is what happened. I got this article saying New Mexico Catholic Church records. Okay. And guess what? They have, they don't have a book. Remember, there are books. These books, what they did is they went to the churches and they got all the information and they put the information in a book, and then they published the book. But what Family Search has is they actually have the images of the source for those books, the actual baptism records, which in a way to me is more important than the actual, you know, the transcription of the records. And however, they are not indexed. So what you have to do is you're going to have to browse the collection. And the collection is under New Mexico Catholic Church Records, 1701 to 1956. And when you click on that, then it takes you to the actual digitized film. Okay, so what it's doing is taking you first to the town. Okay, so give me a town. Anyone? Anyone here with, okay, I'll just pick one at random. Okay, let me, Bernalillo.
You could try San Juan.
San Juan, okay, San Juan. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't, where is that? Not at this level.
It's under Rio Arriba first, then San Juan.
Oh, yeah, got it. So two
Yeah,
churches.
Rio Arriba is the county, so.
So good, so they have two parishes here. One is the Archdiocese, because as you probably know, they copied records back to the Archdiocese. So sometimes there's two sets of books, one at the local place, and then there's a copy of that in there. So if you want to, they actually see the original, the one where your ancestor got baptized, then you can go to this one. And here is all the different books that they have. These are the actual books that were captured or they were digitized. So let's look at baptism. So it doesn't look like they have baptisms, but let's look at marriage. And so it puts you right into the film. These are not indexed, but they're not that long. Like this. So what they've done is they've cut them back. So they have sorted them out. When you do searches like these in Family Search, and you will get a long list of microfilms. The microfilms usually include 3 or 4 books, and they have like 1,000 or 2,000 images. And then you have to go through and try to find where your book starts and where it ends. Well, they've done all this for you here because they didn't do it. This is not microfilm. They actually went to the book and scanned the book. So they actually have the books scanned. What they don't have is indexed. But you scroll through here. and it tells you. And you can see all the records are here. So now you can go page by page, but it may not take you that long. It's only 56 pages. And if you open one at random, it's fairly legible. You probably need to have some background because this is going back to the 1700s. So you may want to refresh your skills with reading old script in Spanish. These are all in Spanish. And basically talking about the couple that got married. Usually we'll name the parents, etc. So there you are. So you can get them, but you have to do a little bit of sleuthing around until you find what you need. Then, so we've done this. We showed you how to get there. So the other thing, oh, okay, so this was okay, and you see that they have a lot of other records like this for New Mexico, lots of them. So here's the thing, you need to know what it is that you're looking for. So this is where having a collection that the GSHA has already, somebody has already gone and created a collection for you. Now you know what to look for. So it's like, you know that you have some treasure buried somewhere, but then somebody actually drew a map and gave it to you. Now, like buried treasure, you know, is not going to be immediately recognizable how to get to the treasure. So you're going to have to apply some skills, some thinking skills, but eventually you will get there because now you have a map. And so knowing the name, the title of the article, that it exists, that these records are somewhere, allows you then to actually find them. And I give you a quick example. I'm from Panama. I had heard over many years that there had been a census done in Panama in 1756. Now, Panama doesn't have any records, baptism or otherwise, that goes past the 1800s. So to have a record that actually was 1756 is a big deal. I discovered in a book that there was an article about this census, an article somewhere written in Spain. So I did a search for the article. And then I found that the article was published in a university. So I went in the university and searched for the article. And because it was a university, the article was free to look because they don't follow the copyright standards that you normally see in commercial publications. This was free to the public to look at. And so when I opened the article, lo and behold, they had transcribed the entire census as an appendix because that's what they do in academic circles. They are very thorough. So they had gone to the archives in Spain and had transcribed the entire thing. And the articles that I found, the work is free to copy, is free to use for research because that's what they do too. So getting to find the thing was only a matter of knowing it existed, number one. Okay. That was one of the key things to finding what I needed. So I think we've covered pretty much. So why don't we spend the last few minutes that we have with questions and anything that you want me to go back to and show you. You're muted. You have to unmute.
Do you want to unshare your screen?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That will help. Yes.
Hey, this is Albert. This is a good presentation. I knew that the family library had the copy of the journals. I did not know they had digitized them, so that makes it a lot easier.
Well, they have not digitized them. So I didn't want to give the wrong impression. They are not digitized. What they have done is they have created this new service called the lookup service. So if you cannot go there in person and see them for yourself, then you can request and see that form
Yeah,
that we filled online.
yeah.
And you say, I want this. And because now you have an index, then you know the title, you know what you're looking for, and you can say, I want this, I want that. And then they can bring it to you. They can send it to you by email. They have to scan the article. And part of the reason they don't allow
Oh,
this,
they have to scan it. Okay,
they scan it. See, the
okay.
reason it's not digitized is because the society actually sells these things still, the articles or in the journals. They are for sale. And there is a form there where you can download and you can request, I want this. So if you find something that's really important for your family, you can actually get the publication.
Yeah, that's true, because I was going to say right there that the latest edition,
So,
when you go to the back, it does have the places where you can go back and
yes.
request your own personal copy and
Now,
stuff. So
there is another new service at the Family History Library that's very important. So it used to be in the past, if you wanted to work, had a questions, and you want to go there and talk to someone, you had to go in person, right? Because of the pandemic, they started this called the remote consultations. So you don't have to go into the library, and actually you can be anywhere in the world and request a remote consultation. And you do it through a website that they have in Family Search. You tell them that you want to speak to someone. You pick first. You have to pick the place that you want to discuss. A country or a state or town or whatever it is, and then you describe a little bit what you're looking for, and then a person that's available and a specialist on that particular area will set up a time to meet with you. It's a 20-minute consultation. It's just like you were in the library. The gist of it, though, is that if you can't finish in 20 minutes, you can request a follow-up consultation. So, it just depends on your questions and how involved it all is. But you have a specialist, so you have somebody who's very well trained and knows the stuff that you're looking for. And so normally, you'd have to pay to have a genealogist consult with you, but this is all free.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Anywhere in the world.
Hi, Ada.
Yes.
Ada, I was just shocked. I just got a email from your husband.
Oh?
We used to work together at Perpetual Education Fund.
Oh my goodness.
And I was a good friend with Larry Myers. In fact, I was his bishop.
Larry Myers is a cousin.
Tony's his cousin, but
Tony's, cousin's husband who
good.
passed away. Wow,
Very
this is
good.
a small world, guys.
Yeah, Brent and I used to talk a lot about you and what you were doing. Hi, Brent.
You can show
Any
your
questions?
face if you want, Brent. Actually, my husband is retiring at the end of this month.
You what?
He's retiring at the end of
Is
this
he?
month.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both had our eye surgery about the same time. So we sat and discussed that for a long time.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about PEF.
Yeah.
So anyone has any questions?
Oh, another comment from me, just kind of in line with what Albert was saying. I didn't realize that the FACC, the Colorado chapter of GSHA, had so many resources either. And I've heard them Tom mention a library one day, and they were moving books and doing this and that. So
they have a library.
yeah, I think they've got a lot more resources than we're all aware of. So thank you, Ada.
And I
Gosh,
didn't,
we
I
don't know
didn't,
what's in our backyard. That's crazy.
I didn't know that the Southern California, they have an even bigger library, genealogy library. I
Yeah.
think theirs is even more of a professional building.
Yeah, I think they're in association. They work closely in association with that Southern California
Mhm.
genealogy group. So
Correct.
yeah, they have a lot of resources too, but yeah.
So I
So-
didn't show you how to search in there, but they have their own catalog as well and their own different resources that you can access this way.
Very good.
So is it Tom Martinez that's in charge of the library for the Colorado chapter? And he's doing all this work? Or is it another team that's doing all the work?
It's different people. Right now, what they're moving is the actual journal, this one. And
Oh,
so with it, that's being changed and stuff because that's GSHA National, which is different from GSHA FACC. So,
That's correct.
because we're all separate legal entities and stuff. So, but that's what they've been working on lately. And with that, I know that the family library here, we give them a free copy of the journal. So they've always had it there. Also, Library of Congress, we send them a copy also, so they have that. So that might be another source of trying to get that information.
I'm going to put a plug in here briefly too. The reason that I got involved with this group is because I was doing research for a presentation I'm doing later this month with We Are Cousins. I don't know if you've heard of them. And so this is actually one small piece of my whole presentation that I decided to kind of blow up to make a big live demo of what I was talking about. So in my other presentation, I gave a lot of examples of different places where you can find books, periodicals. I go into a lot more depth into all of these subjects, but
is that a conference or what is
it's
that?
a conference. Well, they started doing conferences for anyone who has Mexican ancestry. I would say you really should consider joining this group. It's the you've heard of Moises Garcia? Yes, he's the owner, he's the founder. And last year during the pandemic, they decided, they used to have these conferences in person, which kind of limited people because they were not live or on the internet or anything. Because of the pandemic, he started to do these online. So last year they had the first online conference for We Are Cousins, which I understand was pretty successful. And then this is the second annual online conference. They've been advertising it for a while.
Yeah, they have a Facebook page that's very interesting to see what's going on.
And they especially have a website and they have a blog that is really good. There's a lot of stuff that is free with them. The conference isn't free, but I actually joined their group because I was finding so much just on Hispanic, that was really useful to me. They have a whole library of videos where they have presentations like this one that I've done. And they're just stored there as it's a big library of videos of different people giving presentations. So anyway, just put a plug because if it hadn't been for them, I wouldn't have come. I wouldn't be here talking to you because I started to research where else, and I had never done a presentation on Mexican American genealogy before. So that got me started in this direction, and I'm glad I did because this is part of what I do, and I'm glad I met you all.
Very much.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments before we move on to our general membership meeting?
No, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Ada, so much.
Thank you.